713 BC, 3182 AM. The son of Sargon II, King Sennacherib of Assyria, came against Judah and Jerusalem. King Hezekiah was afraid and consulted the prophet Isaiah, this being his 14th year of reign. In the temple, the prophet told the king not to worry, for God would send a blast upon the Assyrians, and Jerusalem would be saved. Though Sennacherib would escape, he would be killed in his own land. As the Assyrian army approached, the dark satellite passed close to the earth, a former rock and metal moon of Nibiru of unusual size. In transit, it weakened the sun's gravitational hold on Earth, and the world stopped spinning on its axis and then retrograded 10 degrees, which is not impossible, for the Earth hangs upon nothing. Tidal forces pushed Earth into a slightly elliptical orbit, which immediately resulted in the lengthening of the solar year from 360 days to 365.25 days a year. Immense electromagnetic friction caused a flux tube that vaporized 185,000 Assyrian soldiers that opposed Jerusalem. This completed the 395-year orbit of the dark satellite. The 185,000 soldiers in their armour, with their gear and weapons, were a perfect antenna. The Israelites later visited the spot and discovered that the entire host had been vaporized in their armour, and they received dignitaries from Babylon requesting to know if the temple records had anything at all about such an event occurring in the past. Sennacherib himself had boasted to Hezekiah of Jerusalem that not even God himself could deliver them from the hands of Assyria. The Assyrian Annals of Sennacherib confirms the biblical record that King Hezekiah did not surrender, nor was he taken. Quote, "As to Hezekiah, he did not submit to my yoke. I laid siege to 46 of his strong cities, walled forts, and to the countless small villages in their vicinity, and conquered them by means of well-stamped earth ramps and battering rams. I drove out 200,150 people. Himself I made a prisoner in Jerusalem." Unquote. These captive Judahites do vanish into history, but become a mighty people, the Jutes, who would later roam through Asia, Europe, and eventually assault the British Isles. Sennacherib's assassination is also confirmed in Assyrian records of his youngest son Esarhaddon, who succeeded him. Esarhaddon was the father of Ashurbanipal. This year concludes the 6th Baktun of the Maya long count, or 864,000 days from 3113 BC, when the Mayan calendar began 2400 years earlier. 864 is the foundation of time number, see 3031 BC, and in this year the world's calendars are altered. The ancient world only knew a 360-day year, which to the Mayan was the Tun 360, the basis for Mayan prophetic timekeeping. The 360-day year mirrored the 360 degrees of heaven, a fact recognized by the early Hebrews, in Sanskrit, Brahmanic and Vedic texts, Hindu writings, by the Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, Egyptians, and even the Romans. The Persians added 5 days to the calendar, the Gatha days or bad luck days. These additional 5 days were the Nemontemi in Mexico or useless days. Even Pliny the Elder admits that the ancient Athenians knew the year to be 360 days. The sun standing still is an event remembered well in the myths of the world, many recalling how it reversed its course in the sky. In the early Americas it was said that one day the sun rose in the morning and then hovered before setting again where it was supposed to arise. Amazing confirmation of this calendrical change comes from the fact that Roman records cite that in the reign of Numa Pompilius, this being his 3rd year, he changed the calendar in Rome from 360 days to 365.25 days a year. Livy reporting that at this time the beginning of the civil year was January 1st. Interestingly, King Hezekiah of Jerusalem was also said to have altered the calendar. Lucius Piso in his Annals wrote that King Numa Pompilius called lightning down from heaven through an incantation. This was no doubt a memory of the flux tube phenomenon occurring between Earth and the dark satellite. This lightning from heaven caused the death of the 185,000 Assyrians, an event also mentioned by the Babylonian historian priest Berossus. We have further evidence that the alteration of the sun's course occurred in February. It was during the reign of Numa Pompilius, according to Plutarch, that the year was changed. The Februm was a sacred purification ceremony conducted at this time in the year. Research published in 1949 AD shows that scientists G. Folgerreiter discovered on Attic and Etruscan art that the magnetic polarity of Earth changed in the 8th century BC. Scholars have erred in calculating the Mayan long count calendar by the vague year system of 365.25 days a year, thinking that the longevity of the world had always been measured with this annual unit. The entire mathematical predicate of the Mayan system demands a year of 360 days, or the arithmetic is corrupted. Without considering this and without taking into consideration in 713 BC that the calendar changed, the scholars have devised a Mayan end date in 2012 AD, which is exactly 34 years off from the true end date when time will collapse. Earth's present orbit altered permanently in 2046 AD at the Passover of Nibiru. In the 32nd year of Nimrod, Nibiru passed in 1915 BC, and in the 32nd year of Romulus Phoenix, passed in 721 BC, and this is the 32nd year of the post-exilic chronology that started in 745 BC, when the Israelites were carried into Assyrian captivity. This was the year 3182 Annus Mundi, or 3182 years, since man was banished in 3895 BC. In this year, Judah was delivered by God from Assyria, and 3182 is the grammatical sum for Lion of the Tribe of Judah, as found in Revelation 5:5, according to Bonnie Gaunt. This year forward until 2046 AD, every year will be 365.25 days in length. 1. Isaiah. 2. A short history of the world. 3. 2 Kings. 4. Tracing our ancestors. 6. Prism B. Annals of Esarhaddon. 7. The Mayan prophecies for 2012. 8. Alexander the Great, the antediluvian world. 9. Natural history, mining and minerals, Pliny. 10. Cosmic codes, Misler. 13. Pliny, natural history, the universe and the world. 14. Josephus, Antiquities. 15. Ages in Chaos, Volume 2.